Some hair out. Hi there, welcome. So, we're live now, great. So, yeah, welcome to my channel. My name's Eddie. This is my technically my sixth live stream. So, I tried to do two yesterday, but the first one only recorded for 4 minutes, and the second one didn't record the sounds for the video that I was trying to watch. So, I thought I'd do it again. And yeah, so yeah, we'll see who turns up. I didn't get anyone show up yesterday. Previous times I had people show up from, DJ Productions show up from Perth. I had a gentleman from South Africa, a gentleman from Algeria last week. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, the title of this video is whether or not speech is violence and whether or not interrupting is fascism. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because in the UK where I'm from, there was the Labour conference a couple of days ago, and the leader of Labour, Keir Starmer, was talking a lot about Nigel Farage, who's like the main competitor at the moment from Reform UK. And Keir Starmer said that referred to Reform as the enemy. David Lammy, who's the what's the word? Not the assistant prime minister, vice prime minister, deputy prime minister. That's it. He said that Nigel Farage, when he was in his youth, he flirted with the Nazi youth, and yeah, there seems to be, obviously that was that thing with Charlie Kirk where he obviously got shot a couple of weeks ago, and the next day there was a politician from Labour who called Rupert Lowe, who's an independent MP, but he's quite conservative. He got called fascist, I think. So there seems to be a lot of language at the moment in politics in the UK. I haven't heard much of it over here in Australia, where they're using quite strong language for anyone on the right. And there's a lot of debates online at the moment about whether or not by using certain language that is inciting violence, because say like a load of people call a certain person a fascist, then somebody who's mentally unstable will actually think that they're a fascist, and then they'll justify in their head causing violence towards them. And there's also that whole thing about whether or not speech is violence. So some people on the far left and people in I won't name the community, but they feel that certain things that are said about them is like actual violence to them. And because of that, some people then who are unhinged can then think, well, if they're doing violence on that person, then I can do violence on them. And there's this debate going around at the moment a lot on the internet, whether or not that's what caused, for example, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, and then with Charlie Kirk as well. So I don't want to just sort of, just bag them all out and just say, oh, they're all crazy, da da da. I want to sort of try to understand where they're coming from, even if I don't, agree with the far left. And yeah, I've been down trying to research a lot of videos on it. I actually found quite a good video today. It's quite a long video, but I might do a watch along on another day by a guy called Dad Saves America. And he was talking about how it's rooted in Marxism. So what he was trying to say was that 30 years ago they were pushing out these certain policies and it wasn't working. So then they sort of repackaged it as this sort of oppressed and oppressor type thing. And that's what's sort of happening today with, the trans stuff, feminism, the abortion stuff, Anyway, I'm not an expert on it. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn about this, trying to learn how people think and stuff. And yeah, if you're an expert on this, please comment and educate me below. And even if you're not an expert on it, comment. I'd like to know your opinion. I can see, oh, there was someone else, but they've gone. Live chat. Oh, hang on. Yeah, they've gone now. So I think it's probably just me in here. I probably should have clicked to see who they were and said hello. Yeah. Oh, anyway, yeah. So I've been trying to get my head around it all, really. So I'm going to play this video. Now, yesterday the sound wasn't working, which was a bit of a shame. So I'm going to try and mess around with it today. Hopefully the sound will work. So down here I've got screen share, I've got mute, and I've got share, end stream, edit. Over here we've got you don't have access, you don't have access, manage, pop out dashboards. Yeah, that's the let's try that, see what that happens with that. Pop out dashboard. Oh, that's the studio thing. Okay, I'll delete that. Cool. So I'm going to play this video, and I'm also trying to not say the word because my last live stream I literally said it 100 times, and it doesn't matter what you say, even if it's the most intelligent thing in the world. Not that I very often say anything that's very intelligent, but if you say every other word, it just sounds silly, don't you? So I've made a deal with myself. Every time I say the word I'm going to put $1 into charity. So I've said it twice so far. And please comment below if you have any ideas for charity. So I'm going to play this, and I hope the sound works. Oh, hang on. Share. That's how I'm going to share screen, haven't I? Share screen. So there's the Chrome tab, the window, and then the entire screen. I don't. Also share tab audio. Yes, that's what I want. I want to share tab audio. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully you can still see me, and hopefully you can hear the sound. So Michael Knowles, as I'm sure people are aware, he's Catholic, I think. So he believes in different things to me, but he's conservative. I think he's American. He probably looks about early 30s, and he's got a lot of subscribers, 3.2 million, 2.5 million, sorry. And he's sort of debating a university lecture of arts, I think. And at the back of the room, there's a load of protesters who are protesting against Michael Knowles. And then the people in front of Michael Knowles, conservative, I think, because they clap for him. But she's with that group at the back.
The list of statistics in your talk which you claim support the idea that illegal immigrants are dangerous or criminals.
I cited a number of statistics that show that they commit federal crimes at a significantly higher rate than native-born Americans. Yeah.
Okay. So what role do you think that structural racism and inherent bias has to play in those statistics?
I don't think that the people who enter this country illegally are forced to do so by some sort of systemic racism. There's no systemic American racist going down to El Salvador and saying, you better get up and sneak into the United States. And there's nobody in the United States who forces people who come here illegally to commit crimes. I think the premise of this question is actually quite offensive, though it's a popular assumption, which is that illegal aliens somehow don't have a bill. It's the assumption that illegal aliens are somehow morally uneducated. They have no sense of right and wrong. They have no ability to control their emotions and their impulses. This is obviously profoundly racist and not true. We have free will. We have the ability to do what we want to do. This is why, by the way, the majority of Hispanic people in the United States and Hispanic voters oppose illegal immigration. The races are exactly the same. The ethnicity is exactly the same. The question of crime is different because race does not determine your criminality.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that people of color are more likely to be convicted of crimes unfairly than white people.
They're more likely to commit certain crimes. That's true. I don't think that's because of their race. I think it's because of aspects of their free will and perhaps of culture.
That's not true. I'm talking about.
That is true. I mean, what I just said is true.
I'm not quite sure where you're getting your statistics from, and you choose
From
to
the federal
interpret
government.
Them, you choose to interpret
From
them
the
in your
Bureau of Justice Statistics
Can
and
I
Department of
talk?
Homeland Security.
Can I talk? Is that
Well,
okay?
you said you didn't know where I got my statistics from, and I'm telling you where I get them from.
Well, it would have been nice if you could have let me finish my sentence. Anyway,
Well, I was answering your question.
You are using your statistics for your own political agenda, and that's your prerogative.
I'm citing statistics because they're true.
I'm talking about the fact that I'm faculty here. I also support our protester in the back.
What do you support specifically? Do you think that anti-immigrant rhetoric is violent free speech?
Yes, because of the reasons
you think that speech is violence?
No, I think that
that's what that sign says.
The conversation that you're having is oppressive.
Okay, I'm just seeing. So I just pause it because I don't want to get like I think you can get like YouTube strikes, can you? And sorry. So yeah, I've got 4 people watching. I think. Let me see if I can see who they are. Oh, it doesn't say. Okay, not to worry. Anyway, if you're watching, if there are 4 people watching, hi. Feel free to comment, join in. So yeah, it's quite a sensitive subject. It's interesting because I'm an immigrant in Australia, but then I'm from the UK, which is having a problem with illegal immigration at the moment. And about 12 years ago, I was a bit like a lefty, like her, but back then there wasn't all this stuff about speech is violence and stuff. And it's you can get caught up in that world very easy. And if you're a lefty, I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right and you're bad, I'm good or whatever. How you can get drawn into it is just literally on Facebook, and then like you'll see like this thing that's really unfair, like how Monsanto is like not paying their farmers or something like that. And then you get more and more of the same stuff, that Bill Gates and Elon Musk are doing all these things to avoid taxes and whatever. And then it's like one thing, it's like dripping, isn't it, into your brain, or and it is propaganda. And then before you know it, you're like, well, I was going on like, I think I was going on marches against the environment and all this stuff. And then you watch all these documentaries, and then I was you see the front page of the newspaper, and the newspaper, they're trying to get your attention, aren't they? They're trying to invoke emotion. And then I'd be like, oh, that newspaper's like really racist, da, da, da. And sometimes it was, and then I had to have a complete break from it because I was just like, oh, this is driving me crazy. I remember going on those marches for like the environment and stuff, and then there'd be other people there trying to get me to go to other things, like other left-wing things, and I can see how people can get really caught up in it all. And because you do feel like a purpose, you feel like you're trying to make a difference. And I'm not saying now that I've sort of come over more to the right that they're wrong, or those causes are wrong, or they're not right, or whatever. And how we can be like pulled into certain camps. You can become quite tribal. And this is part of the reason why I'm doing like these kind of videos and stuff, because I'm trying to understand the other people, because I don't want to become, sort of right wing and whatever. But when I see stuff like this, where people are saying speech is violence, I'm like, I can't get my. I understand, right? If someone's said something to me, and they keep saying it over and over again, it can feel like an attack on you, can't it? I'll give you an example, actually, a better example. There was a nickname I had at college. My friends are watching this. They're probably laughing. They know what it is. And every week, different people would hear about this nickname, and they found it so funny some people would say it to be mean, but some people would say it out of endearment, out of kindness and love for me. But every time I heard it, I didn't bother. But then towards the end, I was just like, it was just, oh, it did feel like an attack. But then, is it okay for me then to tell everybody not to say it ever again? Or should I work on how I handle my emotions and learn about the psychology of the brain? Because in my last semester in my college I'm studying now, one of my subjects was emotion and well-being, and it was talking about how we have the parts of the brain that can go into fight, flight, or freeze, and that fight, flight, or freeze is supposed to be reserved for if you're being chased by a lion or something, like a serious situation. But then it can hijack our brain, and apparently it can happen also when someone challenges your worldview. So, for example, my worldview is a Christian Western worldview, and then if somebody challenges it, you can feel really uneasy, and you can even feel a bit like shaky, not like angry, but just like really unsteady. And it's just your body like overreacting, thinking it's in fight, flight, or freeze. You're being chased by a lion. And then there are lots of videos on YouTube and everything that teach you how to handle that. And I might do a video on it at some point, because when I actually understood what's happening with my brain, I could then take a step back and think I could distance myself from the physical reaction going on in my body. And one of the things you can do is breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Because it's something to do with the oxygen in the blood. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming response, as opposed to the synthetic. But anyway, if there's any psychologists on here, please comment below and just comment loads about this, because it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, I think. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I think that people who are like free speech, which is what I am, but I think it should be free speech with respect. Free speech with respect. I don't think we should just go for town on people just to prove a point. I might exercise my free speech, but then I guess they're probably being like that because people are trying to shut them down. So it's like they're rebelling, pushing back, which is fair enough. And then I think that people who feel that violence is, I think they have a responsibility. Counseling, get help, learn about find ways that they can calm their central nervous system, or calm their synthetic nervous system, be aware of triggers. I think there was a way of dealing with it was anxiety, and just being in it then becomes smaller, isn't it? For example, you've got a job interview, and you build up in your brain, don't you? Oh my goodness, I've got this job interview tomorrow. And then you can't sleep. And you're being silly. Like, it's just a job interview. I'm not going to die if I don't get the job, or unless it's literally the last job and going, and you haven't worked for ages. But you still can't help getting worked up by it. I've lost my train of thought. I love waffling. But I just find this really interesting. And yeah, please comment below what your thoughts are. So we'll go back to the video now of the lady talking. Oh yeah, so they're right in their full-on debate now. Is that worked? Hang on. Let me go back to... Sorry, how did I... You can see I'm a complete amateur with all this. Maybe I should just go back to this. Okay, I'm hoping this works.
And
so
it
I am oppressing
contributes-
people by what I'm doing.
okay.
I am exerting violence on people by my speech. That's what the sign says, and that's what you just said.
It contributes to
And the
racism.
protester is saying that's exactly what I'm doing, and she's saying that's exactly what her sign means. So that means that you, a faculty member at an American public university, paid for by taxpayer dollars, are conflating speech with violence.
Speech.
Yes.
It's quite funny, isn't it? Sorry, I shouldn't say the make up.
Speech can be violent. What you are saying contributes to systemic racism in this country. It means that my students of color are pulled over and accused of stealing a car when they did not.
I'm not pulling anybody over for stealing
I'm
any
not
cars.
saying that you
I see many
personally
people
did.
of many different races in this room. They all seem to be doing just fine. I don't think any of them have felt violence because they listened to a lecture on basic facts about our immigration system. The question was, have I asked people in this room if they've felt as though some violence has been committed on them? No, I haven't asked, because no violence has been committed on you. Because violence is not a subjective feeling. Violence is an objective fact. I can objectively gauge whether or not someone has become violent. The other day, I was at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. Some protester attacked me with some weird chemical. That was an objective act of violence. But somebody disagreeing.
Sorry. Yeah, so I think that's crazy, isn't it? Someone attacking him with a chemical. And I think, in my opinion, that professor lady who's saying speech is violence, like I was saying in the beginning, if you say what your difference of opinion to mine is violence towards me, then yeah, some guy can do a chemical attack on him the next week. They justify in their brain. Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
With me, such as some people in this room are doing, are not committing violence on me. And I would say to you, as a faculty member at a taxpayer-funded university, this is the foundation of liberal education. If you cannot understand that there is a difference between speech and violence, you don't understand anything that undergirds the liberal arts or liberal education. And that is a real shame. And I say this with all respect and with great distress for our universities. If our teachers don't understand the difference between ideas and violence, between speech and violence, then they are in no position to educate the next generation of Americans.
I'll pause it there. So yeah, you can see that whole the 5 rows in front of him must be, conservative, and then the back of the protesters. Yeah, I mean, gosh, being a 44-year-old English guy, grew up in middle-class England in the Cotswolds. I never heard any of this stuff when I was younger, like speech is violence and stuff. So for me, it's kind of like, oh my goodness, this is like so left field. And what I think concerns me is how so many universities have these lecturers like her, and she's probably a really nice lady, and her heart's probably got a really good heart. Her heart's in the right place, and I'm sure those protests are back to as well. But what worries me is just how quickly ideology can just sweep into these years or whatever. But I always thought that, like, a teacher at school, they're very intelligent, they're quite quick, sharp, knowledgeable. And then I always thought college teachers probably maybe higher because they're teaching at a higher level. And then the university lecturers, I always put them on a pedestal, like, wow, these people must be really smart, because they're teaching at such a high level. And then they come out with stuff like that. And I'm like, well, how can you be so clever, but just lack such common sense? But I just don't get it. I don't know if it's, yeah, I don't know. Try not to like judge her in a negative way. You know what I mean? But yeah, it does concern me that like these universities have sort of been taken over by this sort of thing. Anyway.
I've been to art school for 8 years. I understand liberal arts extremely well. I am an artist, and I
I
fully
don't think you do. I'm sure you've been to art school
My
for 8
colleague
years,
over
but you
there
do not
is
understand the
holding up a
liberal
sign which
arts.
says "Disrupting speech is fascism." You are
No. The sign
continually
says anti.
disrupting
Oh,
me.
that one.
See, now that is wild. See, that's wild. That's so wild to me, because I grew up in England. We learn about European wars, history, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we learn about World War II. And yeah, World War II was so brutal, so awful. It was just such a dark time in Europe, and World War One. But like, you know, the Nazis, I mean, they almost single-handedly took on the world. I know they sided with the Italians and the Russians to start with, and then I think the Japanese as well. But that was one gnarly war machine. And you know, there was like 15-year-old kids. If they didn't sign up to the German army, they'd be like, you know, murdered and hung as an example to people. I mean, it was very, very, very brutal. And then, you know, obviously the stuff with the concentration camps and stuff, very, very dark, very evil. And I think that whilst we have like free speech, I think there should be some words that, out of just respect, like they should just be kind of not said often. Obviously, in academia, they should be talked about, and we should be talking about them in conversation. You know, like this happened. But I'm using it as like as a way of gaslighting someone, or you know, interrupting is fascism. I'm like, wow. Like, because interrupting, everyone does it to each other all the time, don't they? Even the most polite. But to say, to connect that with one of the most extreme, violent things in the 20th century is really scary. And then for a teacher to be saying that, to be thinking that and pushing that, and then these 18-year-old students are listening and then thinking, oh, my teacher's saying it, then it must be okay to say it. It's just absolutely wild to me. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. Press play.
Disrupting speech.
Yeah.
But yes,
you understand?
Yes,
You
these
get
people
it?
who are yelling are disrupting my speech, and
You're
I agree, it's
interrupting me.
fascism.
You're interrupting me, and I think that you need to look up violence in the dictionary or expand your idea of violence.
Hold on, I'll look it up right now. Hold on a second. Let me look it up.
Yeah, so I imagine that she's got a different definition to him for the word violence. So I guess like what he's probably been taught growing up and what I've probably been taught is probably similar. What presume it's physical. That her definition, maybe through a certain, I don't know, university or whatever, like maybe a liberal translation of a liberal dictionary that either made it broader. So then she's like, look, the definition says speech as well. So then in her mind, she's like, well, I'm just saying what the dictionary says. And then so that's probably why, isn't it? It's literally been redefined. I suppose it would make sense then if she's saying that speech is violence, if the definition that she's referring to it is. So really, then it's on the people who did that new dictionary, the liberal dictionary. You know, they're the people at fault. I hope that makes sense what I just said. Anyway, here we go.
Let's see. Violence definition. Hold on. Violence definition. So you're saying that violence can be speech. Oh, my Wi-Fi went out. That's too bad. I'll look it up later. I'll post it on my Twitter. Violence is not speech. Let me say it again. Violence is not speech. Let me say it for all the professors in the room. Violence is not speech. Speech is not violence.
NMN isn't the only ingredient, as I said. It is a supplement designed to help with energy, sleep, recovery.
Oh, finished. Okay. Oh, wow. So yeah, that was interesting. Oops,
You lot have been asking me to cover this for a while.
So missing teen found dead in singer's car. Sounds awful. Yeah, so yeah, just thought I'd do a little video on it. I hope that sound worked and I don't have to record it again. But yeah, I'm trying to do one of these live things every week because I've enjoyed them, to be honest. I've been chatting to some people. I was learning about Algeria last week, which was really interesting. Yeah, it's a nice little way to socialise, really. But yeah, I didn't get any comments pop up today. So I guess people haven't commented, which, yeah, there's no pressure to comment. I think, what does that gold thing mean? Should I click on that? Oh, actually, I won't click on it. I'll probably end up turning the whole thing off. Anyway, cool. Awesome. Do I have any final thoughts? I don't think so. I think I said what I had to say. I don't think I said the word much, which is good. And yeah, we'll see what happens with the use of people's language in politics from now on. And yeah, hopefully everything in the world become peaceful and lovely. And yeah, anyway, I'll stop waffling. God bless you, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. But yeah, please comment below your thoughts, please, any links. If you disagree with me, please comment. Let's have a discussion. And yeah, God bless you, whatever religion you are, whether you're a left-wing liberal, far left, centre, right-wing, whatever. I pray blessings over you. Peace, love, joy, freedom, good mental health, good physical health. God bless you in Jesus' name. Okay, I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you. Goodbye.